Hello YNABers, my name is Jesse Meekum from YNAB. It stands for You Need a Budget. Yes, you do. This is another Whiteboard Wednesday. Your kids also need a budget. They need it probably earlier than you think, and you need to work with them on their budget probably more often than you think, at least to get started. Again, my kids ranging from 13, I shouldn't say that, 12. Julie says never say what your kids will be. Enjoy the moment. From 12 all the way down to 1. We're dealing with kids in that range, and we cover the whole stratification inside that range. So the principle here is you start with them earlier than you might think. We start when they turn 8 because they're old enough, I felt at that point, and we've seen some pretty good success with it. And you work with them on the budget often. What we do is we don't set up separate accounts for the kids or anything like that. This isn't some kind of like a sneaky way to get you to subscribe to another account for YNAB. Just use your same account, set up a new budget, and in our case, Porter's budget, Lydia's budget, Harrison's budget. And we start them early when they're 8 years old. And I just want to teach you one principle when you're getting your kids started, just one. When you're first going, we teach them to give 10%, to save half, the remaining half, and then to spend the other half. It's strict, right? But they're so used to it because they don't know any different that we're totally getting away with it for the time being, and we're going to keep trying to get away with it until they're 70. So we have that, save half, give 10%, spend 10%, or spend the other half. What happens is you set up the budget, you've got their giving categories, you've got their savings categories, just one, and you're showing them, hey, this money's available at the top. All right, let's save 10%. What's 10% of $25.19? Oh, it's $2.52. Okay, let's put that in there. So you're teaching them that, little math. Then you're saying, okay, now let's divide it in half. You stick half into the savings category. Then the remaining, this is where the magic happens. You say, well, what do you want to do with the rest? And as they're thinking that through, they'll say one thing, and your job is just to keep probing and probing and pushing. What about that thing you saw the other day? Weren't you mentioning something about like fidget spinners, or didn't you see something about like little magnetic balls and how fun those are? Or weren't you talking about kinetic sand? There was something. Didn't we see that thing at Walmart, like that little Lego guy that you liked? Or wasn't there that like Ninjago Lego set that really? What about? Weren't you saying you wanted a new leather football or a hoverboard or a bike? You just keep going because they're like, oh yeah, and they're loving this because it's like Christmas list time, right? They're just, I do want that, I do want that. You get this long list and you get kind of everything out, and then you look at how much money they have available and you say, okay, well, what do you want to do with the money? And it's awesome to watch because your kids will prioritize fantastically. As a matter of fact, they are so good at picking their priority, and Dylan, one of our designers, he said that the original use of the word priority meant one, like the one and only. You could not, there was no plural for priority. There was no such thing as priorities. What are your priorities? Doesn't exist. It was just a singular use of the word that was priority, meaning you can only have one. And what's fascinating is that the kids are really good at using that old school version of priority where there is no plural. And they always just take all the money and pile it into the most important thing. Now, we don't have that luxury where we can just say, oh yeah, the most important thing for me is travel, so I'm not going to pay my bills. We don't have that, but it's interesting to watch the kids work. It's interesting to see how strong they have, or how strong their ability is to just prioritize the single thing and then throw all of their remaining money toward it. I have yet to see one of my kids ever divide up their money between more than one thing. Maybe that's just a quirk with my kids. I don't know. Maybe there's not enough money and they can't really divide it anyway. I'm not sure. But they see something there around putting all of your weight behind one goal and really achieving it. We see that with the debt snowball where you put it behind one debt just to get rid of that one, and then you put it all behind one debt. You can see it with all sorts of goals. And I think there's a lesson for us adults to learn there as well. Really putting all of our focus, everything, all of our weight behind that one large goal can really move the needle. So with your kids, set them up on a separate budget, get them started earlier than you think, work with them when they earn money, pull up their budget and help them budget it all. We do it every Sunday morning, basically, and it's just kind of a little flow we're in. And the kids get really good at understanding this money's for savings, this money's for spending. They're really good at seeing that their balance is big, but they can only spend $4. That kind of learning that's happening early, man, wouldn't we all have wished that we knew those kinds of things when we were 12, almost 13. I will see you guys next week.